Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Yoli Tamu. The complexities of this life have caused many people to suffer for years with unrealized trauma that has stunted personal growth and prohibited some from actually fulfilling their goals. In this week's episode of our 4th annual Divine 9 series, we are joined by Kharee Hoggs, Theta Epsilon chapter initiate of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Studying law initially interested Kharee until she discovered a stronger interest in serving youth in the juvenile justice system. She decided to major in sociology and minor in social work at the University of Southern California. As a teaching assistant for the USC Prison Education Project, find out why she believes it is important to step away to restore your mental health, and why she believes our due diligence is still key in future elections. Enjoy. Oh, my goodness. The Divine 9 is amazing. Amazing. You guys have just blown my mind. You really have. We've had some powerful conversations, and today it just does not stop. We have an incredible young lady, Kharee Hoggs, representing Theta Epsilon chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, I am doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm so glad to have you. Okay, so who or what has motivated you to pursue this major?
Yeah, so my major story is quite long, but to cut it short, I started off wanting to do psychology on the pre-law track because I think that's kind of where I was conditioned or socialized, programmed to enter, just because I like to advocate for specifically youth of color in high school, and I was really into the Black Lives Matter movement, and I was heavily involved in Black affinity and other programs. And so my family, my peers, my teachers were like, you need to go to law school. And because I like to argue, every time a Black person likes to argue, they're like, go to law school. so so I was like, okay, sure. But as soon as I got to USC, I took the psychology class. I joined a law club. I had a law class. And I was like, this is not for me. I do want to help people. I do want to advocate for marginalized people. But this is not the capacity in which I think I would like to serve. I don't think this would do me any good reading all day and then writing and then arguing in court. So I discovered a sociology class and I was obsessed with it. And I decided I need to switch majors. So that happened. And I loved every sociology class I've taken. The professor is amazing. And then I got into the social work minor just randomly because I was just looking at classes I could take. I've taken so many classes outside of my school. So they're like, please take more classes inside of your school so you can graduate. And so, yeah. But yeah, I just like to broaden my horizons. And so I just discovered the social work classes and I picked up the minor and I absolutely adore it. And that's why I'm actually going to apply to USC School of Social Work for my master's. So,
Oh, fantastic. So now what year is this for you in school? Are you a junior or senior?
I'm a senior, my second to last semester.
Oh my goodness, you're almost out of there.
Yep.
And then you're going to stay put and get the master's.
Yep, that's the goal.
Fantastic. I love that. I love it. So now when you and I spoke before, when we talked about sociology, you had an interest in elders and you were telling me that you were close to that aspect of it and just how we all look out and take care of one another. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I think my perspective is I would like to closely work with juveniles, youth in the community, but I think we do have a lot to learn from our elders, especially when it comes to how, in older generations, neighborhoods were more like communities. You didn't have to go find resources in the same way that you do now because they were always within your neighborhood. People would watch out for each other. If they saw your kid doing something they weren't supposed to do, they would call you. But nowadays, we don't really even know our neighbors. We have to download the neighbor apps. What is it? Like the greenhouse? You know what I'm talking about?
No, there's an app now.
Yeah, where it'll be like, oh, next door. It's called next door.
Next
Like,
door.
did you
Okay.
guys hear those fireworks? Like, we have to have social apps to get to know our neighbors now. So it's a completely different time. And I think that if we combat this American culture that Black people, other people of color, historically not been like as individualistic as American culture has made us be, I think if we combat that with more unity within communities, we could help everyone, especially starting with the kids who, are growing up in a lot of turmoil, specifically in LA County. So
Mhm.
I've also, this is really tough. It definitely have to be something I like call on God for. like, where am I supposed to be serving? Because in my social work classes, I've met people who work with a lot of different populations, talked to organizations, visited organizations that work with different populations. And then I personally volunteer with children elementary school age with reading to kids at Magnolia Elementary School in LA. And I also used to teach intro to debate course at like the juvenile center. And so I was like, I have experience with different age kids. And so like, I don't know, but all I know is like when it comes to trauma, a lot of people are kind of stuck in the same mental age, regardless of how old they actually are. They're being set back, like their growth is stunted. So I don't know.
Hey, you got plenty of time. How about it?
Yeah.
I love this. I just love that you're interested in taking care of the community as best you can, you know what I mean? And really studying about it. So now you talked about trauma, we just came off of this election. Some people are traumatized.
Some people.
Okay. In shock. So, and I think you told me this was your first time voting, right?
It was my first time voting.
Wow. How does that feel? Do you feel your vote was still important?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people were discouraged before it was even time to vote. And a lot of people don't believe, didn't believe that their vote would count, or they feel like they've lost hope because of the options we have, which I understand. But I always think that we need to realize the power that our voices have, because it's like, I mean, yes, the government has a lot of power, but at the end of the day, they only have as much power as we all give them. Because there's more of us
Right.
than of them. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna always do my part. Like, I don't think it's an excuse to be like, oh, well, obviously this person's gonna win. I think, I still feel like you have to do your due diligence. And especially because I come from Indianapolis. So I absentee ballot. Because like
Okay.
Indiana's usually red. And I was like, can we change it? Can we turn it blue? We couldn't. But I think even putting in effort just shows that you care about what happens in your country, and not only your country, because you don't just vote for president, you vote for, the Senate, you vote for your congressional representatives as well as other like props going on locally. So it's not just president you need to vote for.
That's right. And it's good to hear that you still have a great spirit about it, that you know that your vote is still important regardless. And I think people need to hear that message because this is one election cycle. And yes, it's going to be an interesting one, interesting 4 years, but there's still midterms. There's still opportunities to get in there and make our voices heard. So I'm so glad to hear that as a first time voter, you are not turned away. Because that's important. So now, speaking of trauma and really wanting to take care of your community and the people around you, how do you take care of yourself? What does that look like?
Yes, something that I think I'm always working on and probably will always work on. I learned from a lot of the powerful guests we do have in my social work classes that sometimes you do have to step away from things because it's a very emotional job. And I think even though I'm not in the field currently, that helped me see things differently, particularly dealing with school, with political anxiety and other things going on in my life. I just have to remember that it's okay to have to step away to recuperate your energy so that you can, first of all, be your best self when you're in your work. And then second of all, so that you can help like fill other people's cups because we're all struggling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This journey through life is something.
absolutely. Yeah. But I definitely take advantage of on campus mental health resources for sure. And I have been since my freshman year. Like as soon as I realized I was paying for it, I jumped on it. So I
Now
recommend that.
that you don't hear that every day. As soon as I heard there was mental health support, I jumped on it. Wow.
I know. You got to. Because we're all paying for it. It's in the student health fee.
Go ahead and take advantage. So it's like you weren't afraid to let it be known how you're feeling. And there's somebody in there that's going to help you through that thing because everybody's going through it. I love that you said that. You know, it's so important for our listeners. We have these incoming freshmen on this podcast, and then we have the outgoing postgraduate, you know, which will soon to be you. And, you know, people don't take advantage of these centers at all because of the taboo of it all. But as you said, it's already covered, it's already paid for.
Mhm.
Why not go get the help? So important to say. So important. So now, when we talk about mental health, and you said you step away, what does that look like? Is that sleep? Is that turning off everything, separating yourself from people? What does a step away look like for you?
There's many ways. I'd say 2 of them that I can think of off the top of my head are, like, firstly, I know as somebody who tends to get, like, over involved into, like, activities, I'm, like, overcommitted. It's like you're on several e-boards, you're volunteering at all these places, like, and you also wanna have fun, like, so you're going out with friends. Like, you're doing too much is what I feel.
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot that you're doing, and it's like, even though you can, even if you do technically have the time, I mean, I personally knew that I didn't have the energy emotionally, physically, like so this semester, I had to back away from 2 of my involvements just because it's like I also think it's important to kind of focus more in on, like, the ones that were mostly important to me, and one thing I did have to, like, step away from this semester was debate, which helped me a lot because I was really shy. Like, freshman me would not have joined this podcast.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
Okay.
Debate really got me through things, but I don't have to do debate forever. Like, it did what it needed to do in my life, and it's okay for me to, like, put it down for now so that I can, focus on my mental health and make sure that I'm getting my schoolwork done,
Yeah.
sending in grad applications, and then also sometimes you just need a mental health day, like, and you just keep track of how many absences you're allowed for your classes.
Get that number first, right?
Yeah, check that. Plan strategically. If you know midterms, you're gonna be struggling, try not to miss all the classes before the midterms.
Right. Right. I love this. I love that you said that you just simply gain a sense of self. So would you say there's confidence when you step away so that you are ready to take on the world and get back and get engaged? You're building a sense of confidence or a sense of self-awareness because that's what's important too. Self-awareness and self-esteem, all that is wrapped up in that step away. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say definitely like self-esteem, self-love, because I feel like when we feel like we need to keep just going, 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 even though we're running on literal fumes, that's because we're really trying to maybe not impress others, but maybe we just feel like we have to perform to a certain standard to other people. And we don't really think about, like, is this what I truly, really, really want? Do I even care? Like, or am I just doing this because that's what I always knew, or that's what my parents said, that's what I've been doing. So it's kind of like introspection, learning how to love yourself so that you're not burning yourself out and going crazy because yeah, work will do it to you.
It's good that you're saying that you got to listen to self. You got to check in within and not the outside. Because when we think about organizations and we think about even, Greek organizations, as a new student coming to the campus, they're exposed to so many things. And it's best to just kind of evaluate, research, assess before you kind of jump into these things. So I love that you're saying that. So it is our Divine Nine series. And for those listeners that may be thinking about your organization, what are the advantages and what drew you to the Sigma Gamma Rose?
Yes, so I have a special story. So I am a legacy. My mother was a spring 1993 initiate of the Alpha chapter at Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's cool. And I never really honestly considered Greek life. Like, I've never been one to do something just because, like, my mommy did it or because other people around me were doing it. Like, I've always been, oh, you can even ask her. I've always been a tough cookie, just rebellious, doing my own thing. And so I didn't really consider it until I actually got to college because my mom, so she really showed me the crazy network of women because I am from Indiana. So and I'm in Los Angeles. And she did not want me to go to school out here because she's like, that's so far. I don't know anyone in LA. All I know about South Central is what's in the Ice Cube songs. And so I was like, oh, but I really want to go to USC. And so she messaged like all the her sorority sisters that she knew, like anybody knows somebody who lives in LA. Boom, we find my sorority sister, Crystal Young, who's the head of Levy Library right now. She's the head of one of the libraries at USC. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, come on. Like, I'm gonna bring y'all from the airport." And she picked us up at the airport. She showed us around LA. Like, she showed us a good time. I know once she even I think my mom stayed with her one time, like at her place. Like, have to get a hotel. So she's just really hospitable. And I was like, this is interesting, like to see that you have a connection with women all over that you've never met. Like, so I thought that was really cool. And then also at the time, there were no members on the yard when I come to USC. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of like start something like a little bit new, like going with traditions, but also helping to set a precedent for like new programs, focuses, everything.
So you and your line sisters were the first line at USC when you were there?
Oh, not the first line, but it had been dormant for a minute because of COVID. So, yes.
Very cool. Okay. This has been great. And I appreciate you saying that even though mom was legacy, you wanted to find out for yourself. You wanted
Yeah.
to really immerse yourself in that experience first. So that's good to hear. Now, we always wrap up with these final words of encouragement, and you have really been dropping some good nuggets here. So, for our listeners, we always want to encourage them. And I'm thinking about that listener who just may be shy about, even visiting, as we said, these health centers or just taking advantage of what's available for them to take care of themselves. Do you have any parting words for that person that really should jump on it and take advantage of mental health, especially now?
So I definitely was that person. And I think what helped me is that I always, well, not always, and I can't remember what inspired me or what if I read something, but I just remember I would think constantly about what's my why? Like, why am I at school? Why am I choosing this major? Why am I going to class today? Like, and it's because the end goal is essentially that I want to be part of a support system for people who need it at the end of the day. And in order for me to get there, I have to do a whole lot of things, including take care of my mental health. Because if my mental health isn't okay, what business do I have trying to lift others up?
Right.
Yeah, like I won't have the capacity. I won't have even the knowledge. Like even going to even if you're not into therapy immediately, you have to work your way up there. You could go to a workshop, you could go to group therapy, like, do a little something here and there just so you can warm yourself up as well. So I think just making sure that you take care of yourself and that you understand that taking care of yourself is important to your overall goal, regardless of what it is. Even if your overall goal is to be a billionaire, how are you going to enjoy the fruits of your labor if you're depressed?
So now in your field of sociology, do you find that the taboo is dropping a little bit? People are taking advantage of mental health?
I think, yeah, I think it's hard to say because even people who seek services, I think it takes them a while to accept. And maybe they know they need it, maybe they really want it, but because of like there's subcultural barriers that they have in their head. Like, they just can't accept it at first. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's still up in the air. Well, I wish you so much success. Congratulations on your upcoming graduation, and that we're going to have an MSW soon enough. Hey now. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us. This was great. This was a good time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. You take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for joining us. If you're feeling stuck, you may be experiencing some unrealized trauma, so be sure to visit your mental health center. For more information about other episodes, remember to subscribe to the Back to Me podcast, College and Beyond. I'm your host, Yoli Tamu. Leave a review at the end of this podcast, and if you would like to learn more about other special events, join the Back to Me podcast group, available now on GroupMe, or simply text Back to Me to 833-206-4565. Until next time, be well.